What's up, Descendants? Today I'm going over elemental resistance specifically. Last time I went over it, there was some misconceptions about what I said. That was probably my fault. So this time I'll explain it a little better. I'll go over how much elemental resistance is feasible and how much I would recommend. This was part of my damage testing. And as some bonus knowledge, whenever you go in multiplayer, every person that gets added to the multiplayer list is a 20% difficulty multiplier onto the next person. I don't know the difference between 3 and 4. I've never loaded into a mission with 3 people and not 4 people. So from going from 1 to 2, it's a 20% increase. Going from 2 to 4 is 2 incremental compounded 20% increases. In case you are wondering how much more difficult multiplayer is than single player. I don't know about their health bar. I can only imagine that it's even more because their health ain't going away. So I tested many of the hard mode bosses and some of the normal ones. They all netted the same result. So I'll use the Executioner's data since most people are familiar with the hard mode Executioner. Now I wanted to test 2 different attacks of the spectrum. We have the Executioner's little pew pew attack where he points it at you and just shoots you with a little tiny pew pew. And then we have the sword slash that has done in a lot of people. First, I would like to point out that on the Executioner sword slash, for anyone who didn't know, because I didn't know, and I was wondering why I was getting many conflicting points of data, there seem to be 3 areas of the Executioner sword where he deals damage. The most amount of damage, if you get hit with this tip, will be higher than if you get hit with the section of the middle sword. And the least amount of damage will be taken right there. As far as the AoE blast, I do believe that has its own value. With 0 resistant element to electricity, the Executioner did an average of 1,512 on the middle portion of the sword. With just over 1,200 elemental resistances, the Executioner does 1,355. With 2,000 elemental resistance, it did 1,250. 4,600 elemental resistance, he did 1,175. Then with 8,000 elemental resistance, he did 1,097. Then with 12,000 elemental resistance, he did 900 damage to him. These are all averages. I took the sword swing in multiple areas, recorded it, slowed it down to make sure I was getting struck by the same portion of the blade every time. So this means, according to math, at 24,000 electric resistance, you would still take 800 damage. That means 24,000 resistance halves the damage of the attack during the entire test. My defense remained the same at 46,000. Up front, I run about 2,000 elemental resistances. What would I recommend to people? Probably to run 5,000. I can achieve this with 1 external component, and that's it. And that's all I have to do to my build. For the math on his pew pew, we have the same results. 0 elemental resistance, I took 110 damage on not a critical. Enemies can crit. And every time I double my resistance, I get the same portion of damage removed. So at 5,000 elemental resistance, you get about a 20% damage reduction. You'll get about a 28% damage reduction. This, to me, 8% for 7,000 elemental resistance is not worth it. Especially if you go all the way to here, this is just wasting your time. How elemental damage is calculated inside. So each attack in the first Ascendant has a modifier, attack times percentage. Much like the Descendants skills have modifiers, the attacks also have modifiers. This is factored in on a decaying scale against a combination of defense and elemental resistances. So the way you can think that first Descendant is calculating the damage done to you is attack minus your defense, plus attack minus your resistance, minus attack. So defense and element work independently of each other. It doesn't matter how much defense you have on your character. If you equip element, it will subtract the same amount as if you had more defense. Also, if you find me in the wild on the first Ascendant, and I suck sometimes, I accidentally load in public for these unfortunate people here, because a lot of times I am testing something out and I don't have a build for melting the Executioner. But we got it done. But I just wanted to redo element for the people that either got confused or for the people that thought I was saying that every element attack would be subtracted by the same amount, which at the time I think it was 5 and 9. If you are being struck by an attack that does 1,000 damage and you have 4,000 resistant on, it'll subtract around 200-ish. But anything over 8,000 is unnecessary. Anything under 5,000 is fine. Running none is riskier, but also fine. If you can survive, who cares anyway? And I do want to note that although I'm really into min-maxing and all this math stuff, I find that people should play the game they want to play it regardless. Games are supposed to make you have fun, so you should do with whatever you want to have fun with. That being said, please don't load into a Void Intercept battle and be a detriment to your team, but also run the build you want to run, just make sure that it's good enough to run. Anything north of being good enough to run in a Void Intercept battle is fine in a Void Intercept battle. You don't need to have 8 catalyzation crystals on your character if you can pass the mission. Also, for anyone in my Discord, you're gonna have to give us some time. About a week ago, we had 30 people. Our Discord really wasn't designed to run over 500 and growing massively every day. Shout out to the super nerds in the chats. Thank all y'all for blowing up my channel. I'll continue to put out dope content. Let me know what you want to see. Peace out.